Are you thinking about cutting your hair? Okay, if it is a thought for you, I'm going to share with you four signs that you should chop it all off, and then another four steps to properly donate it. And I'll also share my past experiences with this. So, hello, my name is Stephanie Toma, and I currently have short hair. So, this is my fourth time donating it. And, to go along with the four theme. And I cut off 14 inches. However, oh my gosh, here were the signs. And these are signs that you can be aware of when you're contemplating cutting your hair off. And I once viewed myself a hair donation machine where I would grow it out pretty much, for 2 to 3 years and then chop it off and did that for about a decade. And then I decided I like having long hair. And actually, it's a signature of myself. And then I realized actually I'm ready to detach from that aspect of my aesthetic because we are so much more than our looks. However, if you can be helpful, or if I can be helpful and donate it because this is a renewable resource, then let's do it. Okay, the first sign that you should donate your hair is that it looks or feels tired. Is it super greasy? Does it not have a lot of shape? Does it feel like it's just like kind of detracting from your appearance when hair has such potential to actually add so much to it? Does it tangle? Is it simply not in good shape? Do you have a lot of split ends? Ask yourself these questions. And then the second sign is if it's impacting your style or your confidence. If you are constantly putting it up in a bun or putting it up and not really showcasing the length, maybe it's because you don't love the way it looks and you don't feel good about it. Or maybe it feels kind of outdated to you, like it represents a past version of self and it maybe even has memories tied in with it that just no longer fit you. Okay, the third is if it just feels too high maintenance. If, let's say, you're putting a bunch of styling products in it and maybe it does look great, but it takes you 2 hours a day to straighten or whatever you're doing to it. Or maybe your curls or your waves are falling flat. Maybe you have fine hair like myself and it's just like glued to your head and looks like shit. If any of these are ringing true for you, that is definitely the third sign that you should consider a chop. The fourth is that your mind is like, yes, this change needs to happen. Maybe it's a metaphor for a new phase of life in which you are lighter, more free, liberated. If you're bored and you're just like, oh, I guess I could do a nice thing and donate my hair to a good cause because why not? You feel a sense of detachment from it. And another sign is if you keep thinking about it, if it is on your brain, if you have looked up maybe more than once different short haircuts that you're considering for yourself, those are signs. Okay, so now let's say that you've made a decision that you do want to make the cut. You can survey people. However, this is a you decision. I will say, in my experience, if you ask the average guy, straight heterosexual male, if you should chop your hair off, he'll most likely say no. And actually, this is an interesting one. There are studies that show that in a heteronormative dynamic, if you ask a fellow woman, assuming that you are a woman, if you should chop your hair off, if she says yes, it could mean that she's actually somewhat subconsciously competitive with you and like it would give her a leg up, assuming that she has long hair for you to have short hair. So, something to be aware of. If the woman that you ask seems indifferent, then that's a sign that, okay, maybe she's kind of ambivalent to, comparing yourselves. But then if she says, no, don't do it, then maybe she actually cares about you because there are biological markers of fertility and attractiveness, especially if you are single. And guess what? Long hair is part of it. But you can also decide to just not give a fuck. Okay. You have that option available to you. So, assuming that you are on board, knowing that your hair grows 6 inches a year. So, oh my goodness, for me to get what I got back, it's 2 years. But that's okay because we are embracing the chicness. And actually, be aware, this can happen if you don't straighten it. You get the little flip. But okay, the first step is you want to choose a hair donation place. And I know because I've done this 4 times now, sometimes I look for the one where you need the least amount of hair. But keep in mind that if you have layers, ideally your shortest layer is the minimum. So I'm gonna let you know a few options here. So Locks of Love is classic, and they require 10 inches or longer. Wigs for Kids requires 12 inches. And I actually went this time through Children with Hair Loss. They require 8 inches. And what I liked is if there's any sort of color treatment or grays, hypothetically, then it doesn't matter to them. Because the other ones, they'll say like no color treated hair, no highlights, no this. But, I do appreciate that they require 8 inches. But of course, they'll take more if you don't measure it correctly. Then they can still sell your shorter hairs, but just give them a little more, right? So I'm going to let you know how you can be sure about that based on a very recent mistake that was made in my experience so that you don't have to go through it. You always want to do the cut on dry hair. Let me tell you a short story about a situation when things went wrong. It's been a while, and there had been times when I did the cut myself, but this time, I'm going to a salon. I even asked the woman at the front desk, is my stylist equipped to do a hair donation? And she's like, oh, yeah, they're experts, of course. So, anyway, I get in there, and the first yellow flag is she's like, oh, I've never done this before. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, do you want to look up how to do it? I kind of forgot. I'm just relaxed. When I'm in a haircut situation, maybe for better or worse, I am Jesus take the wheel. You get to do what you want to my hair. Like I will tell you what I want and I hope that you do it. And I'm gonna relax in the process, right? You want it to be dry. But anyway, this woman proceeds to wash my hair. And then she's gonna make the cut. But then I remember that hair actually expands and appears longer when it's wet. So then I'm thinking, oh shoot, but how much longer? Shoot, I wish it was dry because now that it's wet, I'm gonna ask her to cut off more, but it's like, should I give her a 20% margin? Maybe she should cut 10. But then she had this idea to, because of layers, to separate two little like pieces up here and one in the back. And that kind of made sense to me, but I would have preferred just like a very small section if we were going to do like a little bang like this. But she said, no, I won't do it. And I was like, oh, okay, you're the boss. But then guess what happened? So she cuts off like a section here that's like 10 inches, and in the back that's 10 inches. And then I have a very choppy, big ass layer that's here, and then one that's down here or whatever. So then she has to equalize it. So she ended up cutting off, instead of 10 inches, it was like 14. So yeah, my maximum, I was like, it'll be 8 to 10 inches. But then you always have to prepare yourself that it could be more. But I would say you don't need a pro, because in this case, this pro did not do a better job than I would have done. What you can do is just tie your hair back. Don't get too precious about like what the layers are going to be in the front or whatever. Doesn't matter. Do one ponytail. Ideally, your hair is all long enough to fit in there. And then have someone with a tape measure, put the rubber band or something, and then you cut above it, of course, so it stays intact. So from the shortest piece, measure that 8 inches or those 10 inches. And some people do multiple ponytails or braids. I don't know, unless your hair's super thin or very drastically different lengths, which it probably isn't, then I think you can just do it all in one go and then go to your hairstylist and then you have a shitty bob or something and be like, hey, help me. Or in this case, I think it's a lob because a bob would be up to here. I have had that before. One time when I was 4, I gave myself a haircut. And then another time in college when I was donating my hair and I was like, take it off. What you want to do is after the initial cut is made, you put it in a Ziploc bag, airtight, dry, because actually, if it is wet, it is prone to breakage when you ship it off. So typically, you can find the website and maybe even a little form to send in. There are opportunities to send money in addition to your hair donation, not necessary, obviously. And then when you take it to the post office, you can either get tracking or trust that it'll get there, no tracking. And sometimes you get notified within a couple weeks or whenever they receive it, or sometimes you're not notified, which if you want to be sure it got to the location it's meant to be in, that would be the case for getting tracking, just so that you have that peace of mind that you didn't cut it all off and then it goes nowhere. I donated my hair, okay, Wigs for Kids, Pantene, Pro V had something back in the day. And then Locks of Love, I think I did a couple times because it's so classic. Something that I didn't do was take formal before and after photos, but that can be something worth doing. That can be a nice thing to do, especially if you want to spread awareness and even inspire some people to do it themselves. So, but it's a totally personal choice. I personally would not encourage people, oh, everyone should do this, everyone should cut their hair off. Because, especially as a woman, and now that I had had my hair long for a good amount of time, where I think the shortest it was around here, sometimes it's very feminine to have long hair. And when you don't have it, then sometimes it feels, I mean, it feels nice because, ooh, your shoulder line, if you wear, a cute top. Oh, yeah, I should be wearing that right now. Okay, maybe another video, I'll wear like my off the shoulder top for you because it looks so much better actually with short hair because you can see your clavicle. I mean, I guess you can see that now, but you know what I mean. Like it just looks better. And yeah, you get to play around with different styles. I'm just really embracing the, well, first of all, the impact of helping a child with cancer that can't grow hair or an adult with cancer that gets to now have my hair that I think I've kept in pretty good condition, and also embracing new beginnings and practicing detachment from some aspects of the physical and being in tune with the reality that, oh yeah, like I will have my hair at a length that feels more normal, compared to how it's been in probably about a year. But I'd say now it's been 2, 3 weeks since I did the initial chop, and it has grown on me. No pun intended, every day. So yeah, I'd love to hear if you have donated your hair before, where did you donate it? And if you're thinking about it, what's one of the signs that I mentioned earlier that made you go, yes, now is the time? All right. Wishing you a beautifully connected day with great hair. Until next time.